Israel suddenly has a problem with attacks on population centers. Israel has been loudly and melodramatically fretting about an impending retaliatory attack from Iran and Hezbollah, which it claims will likely include strikes in the vicinity of civilian population centers. This is, of course, rich, coming from the regime that has spent 10 months turning Gaza into a flattened wasteland of rubble and civilian corpses. A Washington Post article titled "Israel Anticipates Direct Attack from Iran, U.S. Deploys More Vessels to Region," contains the following interesting paragraph. Quote, Israel has communicated to Iran and Hezbollah that targeting civilian population centers would be considered a red line for Israel, which is preparing for a spectrum of scenarios, including one in which Hezbollah attacks first and is joined by Iran afterward, said Yoel Gazansky, a former official on Israel's National Security Council, who is now a senior fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies in Tel Aviv. End quote. Israel's fretting about attacks on its population centers is echoed in a recent Axios post titled, "New Israeli Intelligence Suggests Iran Prepared to Attack Israel Within Days," whose Israeli intel sources, quote, said the attacks by Hezbollah and Iran are likely to be bigger than the one conducted by Iran last April and include the launching of missiles and drones at military targets in central Israel, including in the vicinity of civilian population centers, end quote. This claim that Iran may launch attacks in the vicinity of civilian population centers is funny in a couple of different ways. Firstly, the IDF headquarters is located smack dab in the heart of Tel Aviv, so any attack on the hub of the Israeli war machine would necessarily occur in the vicinity of civilian population centers. Secondly, it's funny because Israel has spent years justifying its attacks on Palestinian population centers by claiming Hamas is using human shields by surrounding themselves with civilians to deter attacks. Placing a legitimate military target in the heart of a civilian population center and then declaring a red line against attacking civilian population centers where legitimate military targets are located, after launching an insanely escalatory assassination in Tehran, is obviously using civilians as human shields. And what's wild is that Israel's own claims about Hamas using human shields in the same way have been conclusively debunked. Firstly, by the self-evident fact that the presence of civilians obviously doesn't deter Israeli attacks at all, and secondly, by revelations that the IDF deliberately waits to launch airstrikes on suspected Hamas members until they are at home with their families, thereby ensuring the maximum number of civilian deaths possible. It goes without saying that Israel does not have any sincere concern for civilian lives, at least for anyone who's paid attention to its actions at any time between the state's inception and today. But it is worth highlighting these contradictions anyway, to contextualize all the histrionic garment rending we are going to witness should an attack on or near civilian population centers occur in the coming days.